Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my little gaming corner. Today I got something a little bit different, and as you can see from the game I have on the table, kind of got the parts laid out here, is a game that's a little bit older. This game, Zombie Survival, came out, I believe, in 2010. So right now that's about a 7-year-old game. It's a little bit older than the games I normally play. A lot of them have been a little bit newer on the market. But there's a little story to that. So back about it's almost maybe 5 years ago, when I started the actual hobby of board games, or the hobby type board games. This one came across my radar. I think I was at my local game store, and this was on the shelf, and several things screamed out at me. First being Zombie Survival. I love zombie board games. The theme just really sticks with me. And the other one was Twilight Creations. I loved their the zombies exclamation exclamation exclamation. That's what I call it. The little tile placement game with the zombies and the cards, and it's pretty popular out there. So I said, you know what? I can't really go wrong with this game. Price was good, and so I went ahead and picked it up. Brought it home a couple weeks later. Made it to the table with our group. Absolutely did not like the game. I will just state that right now. I don't know what it was. I could not put my finger on it, but there was something about the game I just didn't like. I think we played it through twice, maybe even 3 times, and by the end of the time, I just didn't want to play it anymore. I was just like, you know what? I'm done. I can't remember what was bothered me so much back then with it. So basically, shelved it and let it sit there for a number of years until I finally says either it's time to get rid of the board game or figure out what I didn't like about it, and try to give it another fair shake. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go through, I'm going to make a solo run of it, since it can be played 1 to 4 players. So we're going to run through it solo. I'm going to do it just basically one time through, see what it's like, and see if I still can come to the same conclusion I originally did. If I'm going to hate the game, just like it a little bit, or maybe just say it's an okay game. We'll see towards the end. So kind of remembering back, I think my biggest issue with it was the rules. I didn't like the way they laid out. They were kind of wordy, real heavy. Some things were just very wasn't explained very well. This is even the updated one. I think this is the revised 2018-2011 version. So we'll see. I'm going to try to get things as right as best I can based on the rules. So there's going to be a lot of breaks going on in between. When I get to a new phase, I'll break, make sure I have the rules right, and then come back. So that's where we're going to start. Once we come back, I'm going to have everything set up. I'm going to walk you through. So what I'm going to possibly even do as a service to the YouTube community is, and the board gaming community, is I didn't see a really good plethora of videos out there describing this game, talking about the setup. So I'm going to try to not only make this as a review video, but maybe as a how to play video. Since I'll be playing solo, I'll still kind of cover the rules for normal setup as well for the normal game. So hopefully I could try to bundle all that into one, and come out hopefully with a halfway decent video by the end of this. So stick around. When we come back, I'll start the setup of this, kind of move some of the stuff out of the way, and then we'll get up to setting up the house for the first part of the game, and then talking about the preparation, and then going into the actual survival parts of it. So like I said, stick around, and we'll be right back. Alright, so now that we've got everything, all the components are pretty much in the spot that I want them to be, we'll go ahead and get the setup of the game going. Now this is before the 2 phases of the game, which is the preparation phase and then the actual gameplay phase. So we're just doing the setup right now. So the first thing we want to do is setup. So this is going to be dependent on how many players you have in the game. Each player is going to get a random board, so just to be fair, we're going to go ahead and shuffle these up. Now we're only doing a 1-player game, but these would be randomly distributed to each person, so I will go ahead and take said board. Alright, and then we'll set these other ones aside because we're not going to be playing with those. The next thing that we're going to have to place is our tiles here. Now the board or the game comes with several variations of tiles, your yard tiles. This tile here is specifically for the part of your house that has the garage, and it's either probably the front door. So your garage is here and your front door is here, notated by the red spaces here. So these line up, and this is going to be the tile for this side here. The other tile that has the red was your back door, okay, and that tile that you're going to use for that one is the one with the little porch, because you can't have a zombie apocalypse without a porch to walk onto, right? Alright, and the other two tiles are going to be the exact same on either side here. The numbers pretty much go on the outside as it's lined up here. Trying to get a better angle on it here. Oops, so we'll bring that down just a tad. There we go. Alright, and then your other one, we can move this one here real quick, is just going to go up here. Okay, and this is going to be the full play space for one person. This is just one player board, and the lines are going to match up here. The things to take note is, you know, we have our garage door, we have our front door, and then our back door. Now the game does list, you know, when it talks about adjacent spaces that we're going to have, there is a page 10 here in the rule book that talks about what spaces are considered adjacent, because that's going to be important, and it's kind of the rule we'll get into a little bit later when we talk about the zombie movements that are going to move into. It determines which ones are actually getting in the house. If a zombie moves to this space here, it doesn't get into the house directly. It only gets through the house. Oh, I'm sorry, if it's barricaded. So if we have, let's say, for example, a barricaded space after we've gone through the barricaded phase, and then we have a zombie that moves here, it can't get into the house with its next movement. So what it does is it moves to an adjacent space. Then the next one that comes up can't get into it, so it moves into an adjacent space. It's not until a third zombie moves into the space with a barricade that the barricade is finally removed. So we would have to have a zombie here, here, and here for this barricade to be removed. Now it's a little more complicated over here because we have no adjacent space here, but we have one here. But it still follows the same rules. It has to have 3 zombies adjacent. So that's why they kind of wrote in these rules here what is considered adjacent spaces. So if we have a zombie here, it's considered, of course, in front. Then we have an adjacent. We actually have to have a zombie in space 3 here to be considered adjacent to this parking garage, or even if it's a window, let's say over here, the same thing. We have to have 3 zombies in these spaces here before it's going to break down the barrier for this one. And we'll cover that a little more when it actually comes up during that time. But like I said, all we're doing now is we're doing the setup. And there are some rules as far as the rules go for the setup of the game. So we know we have all of our tokens here that we draw from, and I got to be very, very careful because I don't want to shift all those. That's a big pain in the butt getting all those set up. So for a 2-player game, I'm playing solo, and the one thing with solo is I can take any tiles I want to. I'm not restricted on which tiles I am allowed to get. So I'm basically, during the setup, during the preparation phase of the game, I can take any tile that I want to. But when we're setting up, like a 2-player game or a 3-player game, we are taking some of these tiles out because we're taking the advantage away from some of the players. So, for example, a 2-player game, you remove half of the tiles in this box. So, if there are 4 tiles for, let's say, I'm trying to think here. So the car damage is excluded from that, but we have, like, let's say 4 batteries here. So for a 2-player game, we would remove. I know we have 5 batteries. That's not a very good example. I'm trying to give one that's just a solid example of what to do. Doesn't look like there's going to be really good examples of that, but yeah, here we go. So 4 rifles. Okay, for a 2-player game, we would remove half of those. For a 3-player game, you remove 1. Okay, and then obviously, if you're doing a 4-player game, none of it gets removed. With the odd number stacks, if you're removing half of them, you round up. So if there are 3 items in a stack and you're doing a 2-player game and you remove half, then you're going to remove 2 of those. So those are the rules to set up for taking out these tiles here. But since we're doing solo, I'm not following any of those rules, nothing is going to be removed, so I have access to all of the items in the box that I can put into my house here for storage. The other parts of setup is once we have each player has their tiles laid out here, we set out the decks. We have our hardware, hospital, grocery, and these have already been pre-shuffled. We set out our event deck here, and I've already shuffled these, but there is one I need to pull out. That is the knight. Okay, you pull that out, and it needs to go into the middle of the deck. So I will cut this deck here to about equal, whichever way that's actually, yeah. So I'll cut that, knight card goes there, and then we stack it back up, and that's going to form our event deck. Okay, the next thing is each person gets a supply tracker, and each person gets an items chart that kind of lists what everything does in the game, and you also have a turn sequence here that we'll be following. So this is our items, it's our turn sequence, and our supply chart here is what we start tracking our items for. Every person in the game starts with 5. You put a token on each one of these spaces because this is what your house already has equipped. We already have water, we already have refrigerated food, we already have canned food, first aid, and we have lumber. And if you take a quick look at your sheet here, your house already has those items. We have lumber, we have water, first aid, what is that, the canned food and refrigerated food. So that's where these trackers are coming in, because those are already included in our house. Now during the game preparation phase, when we're putting things in from our stock house here or wherever this is, we cannot fill up these spaces here. Nothing goes on these spaces. Okay, that's why there's already something there basically that's built into the tile. So that is pretty much it for the setup. And once everybody has done that, then you go straight into the next phase of the game. Well, the actually playing the game. So when we come back, we'll start the playing of the game and starting to choose our tiles and building it up before we actually get into the fights. I'll be right back. So now that we've gone through and taken care of the setup, we have all of our components ready to go. We can actually start the first phase of the game, which is preparing the house. So to do that, after you've already gone through the setup and eliminated some of the tiles, the car damage tiles are going to be set off to the side. These are not part of what we draw from. And the car tiles, this is going to be one that, now to be fair, each car has different stats on them, some better, some not, and you can see that by the sheet here. So the mid-size car takes 2 damage before being destroyed and can carry 4 items, all the way up to the full-size SUV, which does 5 damage before being destroyed and can carry 7 items. So even though it's a single-player game, I'm the only one picking. I thought maybe just to be fair, we can go ahead and make it random so that I don't know which one I'm getting, and so it's all fair. Alright, so we'll do that, and I'll just draw from the top one when we go to choosing. Alright, so before we get started in that, so how it happens in a normal game when you're doing this part is you designate the first player to start filling the house up. So what happens is the first player is going to take one of the items. Let's say they want to take one of the crossbows here, and they're going to fill in one of the space, or 2 space here in their house. Nothing can go on the lumber space that's already filled, and nothing can go on these 4 spaces here. They're already filled. So we have these open spaces here, and these walls here really aren't going to affect us. They just kind of limit what we can put in a particular room. However, where you put it has absolutely no bearing on where you can use it in the house. This is all considered one space for the game. So even if you put, for example, you put a rifle over here or a crossbow, it does not mean you can only use it on this side of the house. Does not mean that in any way. It's just something that's available to your hero or to your survivors that are in the house to use. So all we're doing here is basically this is our inventory space. This is our backpack, and we can only put so many items in there. So we have to be careful about what we put in the house, because if we put all weapons, then we're not going to have any survivors to fire those weapons. If we don't put any food, if we don't put any gas, if we don't put anything like that in there, we're going to run out pretty quickly. So that's where the strategy comes in. When you're picking this in the first phase of the game, is first player chooses one item, then it goes to the next, and then to the next in clockwise order. So you're each picking one thing, and you're limited to what you can pick as to what's in the supply here. And so after the first person picks, it goes to the next, and the next, and then the final person picks of that round, and then it starts over again, but then it starts in I'm trying to see, they go clockwise first and counterclockwise the second time. So the last person to pick will actually be the first person to pick in the next round, and it'll just kind of keep going around and coming back and forth. But like I said, since I'm playing a solo game, I have access to every weapon that's in the box here, and all I have to do is just work on filling my house up. The only thing I did to kind of make it fair was put these cars in random order, so when I draw, I just get the luck of the draw, and I get the full-size SUV. So the full-size SUV or your car is only going to go into this slot right here. This is a special slot just for the car. So that's the first thing that's going to go there. The next thing I want to bring in is a portable generator. So we know that generator we could sit it right there in that space. That's fine. Now for the generator, I'd like to have some gas, so that's the first thing I put in there. I know I'd like to have a survivor, so we'll put a survivor here. Like I said, doesn't matter where you put them. It has absolutely no meaning on anything at all. So for that survivor, let's go ahead and give him a nice crossbow. It's a nice 2d6, so you can roll 2d6 when you're attacking a zombie. And I believe the crossbows do not make a sound. Is that right? Yes, does not make a noise. And that becomes crucial later on as to when you're firing these weapons that make noise, they actually attract more zombies to your yard. So we want to try to have the weapons that don't do that, because that's not very good. Now you'll also notice in your supply that you have things that you might already have on your board, like, oh, I can pick a pantry item up. Well, even though I already have a pantry item, what I'm doing is I'm giving myself more pantry items, so it would in essence increase the amount of food items that I have. First, depends on how many are in that. So for example, the food canned pantry 1 ration, which is right here, feeds 4 people. If using a stove, otherwise feeds I'm sorry, it's not 4, 5 units per item, right there at the bottom. I'm like reading this off and I'm not showing you. So right here it says 5 units per item. So for every one of these I'm adding to the board, I can increase my chart here up 5. So let's say I went ahead and put the pantry item on. I would then put my counter up to 10, because I now have basically 2 units of pantry items, which is 10 total. I have not units. I have 2 pantry items, which is 5 units per item. So that's a total of 10 that I would bring that up to. So next, what do I want to put in there? Let's see. Portable stove. What does that one do? So portable stove is to cook food. 1 unit can feed 4 people. Requires 1 gas to use for an entire game. So the thing with the pantry is if I had a stove, then it feeds 4 people. So we can go ahead and put a stove down. I might need another gas for the stove, just in case. So we'll go ahead and put that in there. Let's put another survivor in here, and let's put another gun in his possession. Let's do the rifle. We need a really high-powered rifle in here for us. That's going to let us roll 4d6 for an attack. Next, I'd like to get some melee weapons in here, so we can go with a sword here. I know a sword's pretty big, takes up 2 spaces, but that's still a good roll for us to take care of some things that come in the house, possibly. The short sword is not bad. It's not bad at all. It only takes 2d6. I might want to throw one of those in here. Another melee weapon. So we have 2 guns, 2 melee weapons, 2 survivors. Might want to increase that a little more. Maybe a fire extinguisher. We have all this flammable stuff going on. So right now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Only 9 spaces left to put somebody in there, or to put stuff in there. Man, what do I want to add? Alright, we have a handsaw here. This kind of helps build a little bit. Let's be a little more functional with our lumber. I have batteries, night scopes, laser sights. That's kind of interesting. Silencer. What is a silencer? No noise penalty to 1 mechanical weapon. So, silencer might be nice for that rifle there. I'm putting a lot more weapons on here than I probably should, and not being very smart about my other stuff. Fire extinguisher. I could put another person in here. That's 3 mouths to feed. I do have a lot of pantry items, so I'm feeling okay there. What else do we want to get? I'm trying to stay away from the stuff that costs or makes a lot of noise, but I like having a good amount of weapons for defense. Let's bring in a flashlight, and I believe for the flashlight I need to have batteries. I believe I remember reading that. Batteries must have 1 per flashlight, so if we put the flashlight on there, it just makes sense to put the batteries. Right now I have 2 available spaces left to me. I'm not sure if I want to put another fire extinguisher or more supplies in there. I just don't know. Liquor can be used as a Molotov. Okay, I don't know if I want to do the liquor. So I've got 2 gas. Should be good there. Could go a laser sight for a pistol. That is, when did I miss it? Adds 1d6 to a firearm combat rolls. Batteries are required to use. So no, we're not going laser sight. I already have a saw, so I can only do single box items. Let's go with another fire extinguisher just in case. And then one more. I could put another food item in there, pantry. I wish I had enough space for 2 for the lumber, but I didn't quite think that far ahead. Just one more item. It could be a refrigerator. It could be pantry, stove, machete, short sword. Let's go with the refrigerator. Alright, so now that increases my total stock on the refrigerator. If we look at that real quick, 5 units per item. So I've now gone from my base of 5 to 10, just like my canned food, since we have that. Alright, so that is going to complete the setup portion of the game, and especially for a solo player, since I had, unlimited, not unlimited, but any choice that I wanted to. For like I said, a regular game, you just keep going around in clockwise order till you get to the last person, and then the last person starts the next round and goes in counterclockwise order, and they just keep choosing until everybody has filled up their house. And then once that's done, then we move into the next part of the game, which is part 2, and that's the part where the zombies start coming out. And then once we move into part 2, you stay in part 2. This is all just part 1 in the setup and preparation. And then once everybody's done, they move into part 2, and then you complete the game out that way. So once we come back, we'll go ahead and start part 2. Alright guys, so we have completed all of our steps for the preparation. So when all of the players have done their preparation phase, gotten all the components and moved into their house and set up the board as such, then we move into part 2, the zombie apocalypse. This is going to stay in this mode until the end of the game. And we have, for each round, we just continue the rounds, and there are specific steps you follow in the round. So the first round, or the first step of the round, is one person's going to roll a dice, and they're going to see which spaces we're going to be moving zombies in. Okay, so you just pick a player. It could be first player, it could really be any of them, and you just roll a dice. Alright, so we got a 4. Now, for each player that is playing, they're going to take 4 zombies. They're going to put them on the space that was rolled on the outer edge. So this will be 4, 4, 4, and 4. And that's it for this one. Round 1, or step 1 is done, and now we move on to step number 2. Alright, so our next part is going to be the event phase. This is where we take one event card and we flip it, and this is going to be 1 card per round. So this 1 card is going to affect all players. So the first card that we have is loud noise. This, the first thing, we read it and then put it into effect, is each player must roll 1d6, advance that many zombies 1 space on your board. Okay, so we're going to roll a 5. So we need to advance 5 zombies on our board 1 space. I only have 4 zombies, but they're all going to advance 1 space. Alright. So now that that's completed, we have some subtext down here. It's smaller. It says food equals 1 and water equals 1. Alright, so then we look at that. It's saying for food, each player must spend enough food to feed every person in his house. Any person that cannot eat is removed from the game. I have 3 people in my house, so I need to feed a total of 3 people. So I have 2 options here. I can either feed them from the refrigerator or I can feed them from the pantry. I both have the same amount of rations or units to feed them. Now, remembering that the refrigerator and the pantry both are the same, 1 ration or unit feeds 4 people. If you're using a stove on the pantry, it's 4 people. Unless I'm using a stove, again, it only feeds 2. But since I do have a stove and I do have gas, my pantry ration items will feed 4 people. Same with the refrigerator. 1 ration feeds 4 people. So I think what I'm going to do is, knowing that the refrigerator may last a little bit less than the pantry items do, I'm going to go ahead and opt to use my refrigerated food. So I'm going to bring that down 1 unit. Now that unit was enough to feed 4 people. So I only have 3, but you can't really subtract anything. You use what you use. Alright, so and now our water. If we look at that, that is in the house. If the house has running water, there it says no effect. Otherwise, you must spend 1 water. Right now, since the house has power, we haven't gone to night events, the house has running water. So that part does not have any effect on us, so we don't lose any of that. So that event is discarded. And I forgot to say, for the solo game, the other thing that's different about not only me having access to any items I wanted to and not having to really compete with anybody out of the box, is the way to win the scenario is I actually have to get to the last event card in here and survive past the last event. Now there were 20 event cards, I want to say, so it's basically 20 rounds. I have to make it and not die. Alright, so now that we've completed that, that's the end of the event phase. Now we move to the next phase. So for our next round, or not the next round, next step in the round is all players now build barricades. So what this phase is, we're going to be trying to board up these entrance areas, both doors and windows, to keep them from coming in. Right now, if the next time this zombie moves here, if I don't have this barricaded, they're moving straight into the house. And this one here, same thing, they move straight into the house. These have a little bit more of a time getting in because they're going to have to be pushed to an adjacent square before they're going to be able to get in. So these 2 are not really concerning me that much. These 2 are very concerning to me. Now, starting with steps 3 through 5, I believe, is where you're spending your player actions. For each person that you have in the house, you receive 1 action. I have a total of 3 actions that I can use, and building barricades with 1 person is one of their actions. So if I use them for an action in this step, I won't be able to use that action for the next step. So I have to kind of be careful in what I'm using here and deciding, is this the best time? If I use up all 3 of my guys to build barricades, well, they're not going to have any actions left next round to possibly do a killing or going to town. So I kind of have to say what is most urgent and pressing. Obviously right now, if I don't want 2 zombies in my house, I'm going to have to spend 2 of my guys points right now just doing barricades. So what I'm going to do is, I know I'm going to choose this person to do a barricade. We know we have units of wood, lumber here, and if we look at that here, 1 lumber barricades 1 door or window, 3 zombies in 1 section removes adjacent barricade, 5 units per item. So we already have that marked. And remember, I opted to take the handsaw. Oh, that was on the other side. So what the handsaw does is use 1 unit of lumber to barricade 2 squares of adjacent windows. Okay. This one is a little tricky because there's never, in all the boards that I saw, we never had adjacent windows. These 2 were together, these 2 were together. I guess this is an adjacent window and this one is an adjacent. Maybe it just means for those tiles right there, I'm not 100% sure, which is kind of, you know, you kind of get stuck with the tile that you drew. You might not have that. So I guess the handsaw isn't too much of help. Probably would have been better for me to opt to go with something else after looking at the board, but I guess I didn't think about that. So maybe I could look and see if there's anything in the FAQs about it. I'm not 100% sure, but let's just say right now that we wanted this person here to barricade up this door. Okay, so that's 1 action for him. So we're going to put a little glass token on that door to represent it's barricaded. So his action is done. We can use his action to barricade up this one here. Okay, so we've now used 2 actions. We still have 1 left, and probably want to save that action maybe for next round so we can be a little more productive. So we've used, on our lumber pile, we've used 2 units, so we go down to 3 on that. And that is all we can do for this step, and now we move to the next step. Alright, so for the next part we have, this is going to be starting with the first player, and we go around clockwise. I'm the only player on the table, so it's not any different. The actions that we can spend now can be used to combat any of the zombies that are either in the house or in our yard. So we could either be using hand-to-hand combat or for melee, and then our ranged weapons here. So I have 1 character left, which is, doesn't really matter who, but I have 1. So we're going to use him to fight off one of the zombies. Now you can shoot through barricades, you just cannot move through them. So our ranged, it doesn't matter where you are in the house, it doesn't matter where your weapon is, this is all basically considered 1 space. So I could be shooting with a gun that was over here, it doesn't matter. Alright, so what we're going to do is probably roll, I'm trying to decide which weapon I want to use. We could use the crossbow or we could use the rifle, because the rifle is going to give me 4d6 to roll. That's a pretty good amount of dice, but I know that the rifle is going to make a lot of sound. So yes, the rifle must be at least 1 square away. Okay, so actually we can't use the rifle because these squares are not. They would have to be on squares out here for us to be able to use it. So we know we can't use that one. Our only other ranged weapon that we have is going to be the crossbow for 2d6. Now that one is roll 2d6, must at least be 1 square away. Alright, so we can't use that one. Wow. Alright, so let me look at the swords. Can only be used in the same square as the zombie inside or out. So in order for us to use these, maybe what it's saying, oh, okay, never mind. Disregard everything I said. So a rifle we could use if we're inside the house, can be used on either of these 2 spaces because they are 1 square away. We couldn't use the rifle or the crossbow if the zombie was in the same space, the house, with us. We would have to use a sword for that. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to use the rifle. And can I use the silencer on the rifle? Let me look at that one real quick. No noise penalty to 1 mechanical weapon. Okay, so I'm going to use the silencer that I have on this mechanical weapon, the rifle. So I'll be rolling 4 dice for this one, and we're not making any noise, so that means we're not adding any new zombies to the board. Now when we
when we shoot the zombies, what we're going to do is we're going to basically be throwing as many dice as it says, and there's no penalty because we're shooting during the day. Everything is lit, everything is fine. Alright, so all we do now is we throw our dice into the box lid here. And depending on where the dice land on the, I guess I should move this up here to show you guys. Depending on where the dice land in this space here as to how much damage we're going to do. Any dice that land inside the circle or even touching this circle is counted as a headshot, and that is an automatic win. Some people have said, there's certain ways you can throw this, there's certain, just drop them. I've found it doesn't make really that much difference. They kind of go all over the place, and yeah, it's really just a chance here. So I'm just going to be fair. I'm going to roll them. Okay, so if we consult the if any dice land in the head area of the zombie box, or if the sum of the dice that land on the zombie picture is 6 or higher, the zombie is killed. Alright, so the sum of the dice right now is only that's touching him are 3, and I guess this would be 4 if it was outside the box, but it's not. The 4 hit the head area here, even touching the circle, and that is considered a kill. Alright, so I guess I didn't even declare which one I was doing, but it's going to be this one right here that we killed. Alright, so that was my one action, and that's all I can do for this round, since all of my people have been used up as far as our actions go. So then we move on to the next step. Alright, the next step is actually a pretty quick one for me because I can't do it. The next one is you can send people into town and shop if they're already in town or return home from town. So if I had more people to do actions with, I would actually send them in the car with a weapon and the gas, because they need to use one gas to use the car, which is described on here on your little reference sheet. And then the next turn that they would be able to draw something from the supply decks. Since I don't have any more actions with mine, I'm basically all done. And with that, it's the same for the 6th step. We start with the first player. You could spend any remaining actions to place zombies in his opponent's yards. You choose a yard piece on their side. You roll a die and place a zombie on the space rolled. You do not pull from the zombies that are in your yard. You're actually adding in zombies from the zombie pool when that dice is rolled. And then that is the last step of the turn sequence or the round. So what we do now is we just go back to the first sequence of rolling the die and seeing how many zombies move onto the board. That's pretty much it. As you can see here, we kind of step through most of what you're going to encounter for this game. I'm going to continue playing through it. If you're already bored or you already don't like the game, don't keep going, don't keep watching. But if you want to see how this plays out for me, hopefully I'll be able to go over most of the more advanced rules as far as breaking barriers down, nighttime, how that's going to work, and supplies, and running out, and going to town, and working those things out. And maybe if you just want to, you could skip towards the end of the video, and I can give my final, like, how I still feel about the game, my final review of it. If you want to, stick around for the entire thing and then see how this goes for me, and we'll see how this turns out in the end. It might be pretty quick, but we'll see. So stick around, guys, and we'll be back for the second round. Alright, guys, so we're getting ready to start the second round, but before we go into the second round, I wanted to hit a couple of points regarding the last turn that I took, and I wanted to hit those points real good, because it's one of those issues that reminds me why I had some trouble with this game. The first one that we did, or the first issue that I want to do or take care of, is the event phase. Okay, so we took care of the loud noise, which was fine, and we rolled that. I didn't have any trouble there. It's when we came into the food and the water equals 1. Alright, so we looked up what those were when it said food for the events. So let me go to that section here real quick if I can find it without spending too much time flipping through these darn pages. Alright, so food, we know right here is each player must spend enough food to feed every person in his house. If you cannot feed them, that person is removed from the game. You only feed people when it is on the event card. That's fine. So in deciding which one I wanted to take the food out of, I says, well, I'm going to take it out of the refrigerator because that may not last as long once the power goes out. So we read refrigerated food, which is 1 food feeds 4 people if you use the stove. Otherwise, it only feeds 2. Spoils at the end of the round if you do not have electricity. Alright, so I said, well, since I have the portable stove, which is what I was assuming, then it would feed 4 people. That's fine. But noticing about the canned food, and if you want to look at this, it says, kept in your pantry, 1 food feeds 4 people if you use the stove. Otherwise, it only feeds 2. You have a stove if there is electricity in the house. If not, a portable stove can be used. So taking the rule right here about canned food, saying that basically if your house has electricity, you're assumed to use the regular stove in your house, but not the portable stove. So when I was talking about I'm using the portable stove and with my refrigerated food, apparently that has no bearing because we have electricity. Just one of those little quirky things, unless you read through all of the rules here, looking at just one individual piece doesn't necessarily give you the whole story. Alright, so my point is on that one is really read through the rules, especially when you're first playing the games. I'm trying to cover those as best I can here. So if you're playing through them and you come up with that in an instance like that, you'll already know, okay, if I have electricity, we're using this regular stove, so both the pantry items and the refrigerator items ought to feed 4 people instead of the 2. So then that brings me to my next point, and this is the barricade phase. And this is the one I did say had some issues with because the handsaw for me was basically useless because of how it was written on the reference card. And if you recall, when we barricade, we use 1 unit of lumber for each barricade that we built. So I used an action from 2 of my people and made a barricade here and a barricade here. But the way the rules read for handsaw was this. It said the 1 unit of lumber to barricade 2 squares of adjacent windows. Okay. Well, that's fine. I'm assuming that these going to be adjacent windows here. Oh no, because this was at a door and a window, so it says, well, they're not adjacent windows because that's a door and a window. They're neither adjacent windows here or adjacent windows here. I did find that on another tile though, so I assumed, okay, maybe it's just talking about if you drew a certain tile, you'd have the benefit of building a using the handsaw. So I was like, well, basically for this tile here, the handsaw was not accurate according to the reference sheet here. Alright, so let me go look at what the actual reference sheet said, or the rule book says for a handsaw. Allows you to barricade 2 windows using only 1 lumber. So that's even less of an explanation. Almost seems a little different because it doesn't say anything about adjacent windows. It just says 2 windows using only 1 lumber. So in that regards, any 2 windows in your house you can board up with 1 lumber. So I'm like, okay, fine. But then I take it one step further. Let's go to the barricade section and look that up real quick, because here's really where it gets fun. Barricade section, paragraph 2. Normally you spend 1 lumber to barricade 1 door or window. If you have a handsaw token, you may use it to barricade 2 doors and or windows with only 1 lumber if they are on the same side of the house. Well, holy crap, that's totally different than the way that the reference card reads and the way that the handsaw token reads in explaining it. This is just what absolutely frustrated me about playing this game, is because this just wasn't consistent in the rule book. Just not consistent. So it's like you had to know all of the rules inside out just so you can make a good determination. And of course I'm going to pick the rule that applies best in my situation. So the one that applies best is the one that's talking about if they're on the same side of the map, I can use a handsaw token to build or barricade 2 doors and or windows. I guess you can use that interchangeably. So with that being said, when I used my 2 actions to build 2 barricades, one on this side, one on this side, and I had the handsaw, I could basically say, well, I'm building 2 barricades there and 2 barricades there for the same amount of lumber spent as I did just barricading one because I had the handsaw. Okay, so now that I got that little rant out of the way, we can go ahead and continue on, and hopefully with the continuation of playing through, we will cover some of those more advanced items, and I'm trying my best to make sure that when an item is used or when the situation comes up, I'm going through the rule book, I'm going through the reference card, but at this point this reference card is almost useless to me. I follow it for the turn sequence here, but anytime I need to know about one of these items, I'm either going to the rule book both to read up the item itself and then also to go to the situation that applies. Like, not only am I going to read about the crossbow if I'm using it, I'm going to go and read about combat in the rule book. It's a lot of reading, a lot of rule referencing just to get to where I need to go. So, alright, again, I think I'm done with that, so we're going to go ahead now and continue on the turn sequence for the game. So the first one is now we're back in a new round. We're going to go ahead and do the first step, which is player rolls 1 die, and we bring we bring zombies onto that space. Oh wow, so we have another 4, which is what we had last time. So 4 zombies again, all come in on space number 4. Alright. So now we move on to step 2, which is we take an event card. Alright, food spoilage. Each player rolls 1d6, that many points of refrigerated food spoils. Alright, so we all have to roll a d6, which is just me. 2. So we have 2 food spoils on refrigerated items. So I'm taking myself down from a 9 to a 7. And there are no little sub things down here, so that event is over. And so now what we're going to have to do is our next step, which is build barricades. I'm going to use one person for one action. I'm going to barricade these 2 spaces up right here. Okay, for 1 lumber. Remember, because we're using the handsaw, we can barricade on that side. So we're going to bring us down from a 3 to a 2 on our lumber. Looks like I'm getting really low. So now the barricade, that's all I want to do. So I have actions left. Just flip that over so I can remember that. I have 2 actions left with my people here. And so then we're going to move on to the next step, which is ranged or hand-to-hand combat. Alright, so we know our big problem areas are going to be right here and close to here. Now I have 2 people. Rifle is a silenced, and that's 4, and then I also have crossbows. So let's do a little bit of combat this round. The rifle we're going to use, and I have attached the silencer to the rifle, so that one gets 4d6. Alright, and we're going to be shooting this one right here. This is our target. Okay, so we're going to throw our, let's just bring it down here. I think you guys can see it a little better there. Maybe not. Sorry about the tough, no, see, that's not going to be fair. What I'll do is I'll just change the angle of the camera. That's a little better. Alright, so we're going to go 4 shots. Alright, and it looks like the 2 is touching the circle. Now, according to the rules, if we go to shooting real quick, we'll just read that off real quick about fighting, I guess. And where are you at? Roll the dice into the box onto a zombie picture there. When they're rolling the dice, your entire hand must stay above. Blah, blah, blah. And that's in the next page here. Any dice rolled that land in the head area of the zombie inside the circle around his head, even if it is touching the line, the zombie is killed instantly. Well, we did not land inside the circle. We are outside the circle. If it did not hit the head, any add the value of all dice that landed on any part of the body. If the total value is 6 or higher, the zombie is killed. Well, we need to look at that really, really closely to see which parts are touching the zombie. I have a 2 that is touching the zombie. I also have another 2 that looks like it's just barely touching it. And then we also have the 6 that is touching the arm there for the roll. So we're going to count that one as a 6, which is more than 6. So we're going to say this one is dead. There's no noise penalty because we attached the silencer onto this one. So that's going to be this one's action. The next one that we're going to take an action against is this one. No, we're going to take an action against this one here because I haven't barricaded this up yet. So it's likely that they could be getting in real soon. So again, we're going to take for the crossbow 2d6, and we're going to try to make it into that guy's head. And we miss. Alright, so I only got a 3. So that is done. No more combat can be done because my action is now spent. So that means that number 5 is I can't do anything there because I don't have any actions left. And number 6 I can't do because there's no other players on the board. So that's going to finish out round number 2, and then we're going to start round number 3. Alright, so round number 3, we'll go ahead and get that started. So let's go ahead and roll to see where we're bringing some new zombies on. Space number 1. Alright, so 1. So we're now in front of the garage, which means if I need to go to town somewhere, I'm going to have to run that zombie over or kill them before I go to town, or I'm going to damage the car. Alright, so step number 2, we're going to take the top event card. Power surge. A massive power surge starts a fire in all houses. Use fire rules. So let's go look up fire rules real quick. Fire. Let me go look that up real quick. I'll be right back. Alright, so after scouring the rules for a little bit, here's what I can find on fires. We went to the, I guess it's the event cards section, and then got this little paragraph here. It says, if your house catches fire due to an event or Molotov cocktail next to or in the house, and you cannot extinguish it with 2 bottled water or a fire extinguisher, you must flee your house. You lose the game automatically. Alright, well, let's go look at those, either water or fire extinguishers, from my list of items here. We'll start with fire extinguisher. That one is puts out fires, discard after use. I have 2 of those in the house, so if I want to use one, I'll put out the fire. If not, water says if the water supply is contaminated, you must spend water from your tracking card if an event requires it. Water can also be used to put out fires. You must spend water from your tracking card to put out a fire, even if the water supply is not contaminated. Okay, so we have 5 units of water, 2 fire extinguishers, so I'm wondering what would be better. It's probably going to be better to use the fire extinguisher because already we have down here, it says sickness 1, water 2, so I'm already having to spend 2 water for this already. So what we're going to do to negate the fire, we're going to use one of my fire extinguishers, which says discard after use, so we're going to put that back over there. And then we're going to resolve these, sickness 1 and water 2. So the first one is sickness, and for that we're going to look at loss of people. I think I remember reading this one earlier, or wounded people. Is it there? I thought it was somewhere else. Maybe it's here, loss of people. Ah, here it is. Okay, so loss of people. Number 3. If a sickness comes up on event card, and that's when you lose people if a sickness comes up on the event card and they cannot be healed immediately. Well, how are we going to heal them? Well, let's go look at our first aid real quick. First aid should be what we're going to use to heal somebody. Let's go make sure we're using it right. First aid kit used to heal a wounded or sick person. Okay, so we have 5 units first aid, so we're going to use one of those immediately to heal our sick person. So he is not dead and he's okay. So we've completed that event all the way through. And oh, the water. The water is 2, so we're going to move that down 2 units. 1, 2. Alright. Actually, does it say? There was also one. If that one says water, we probably don't have to do that one. Remember what it said earlier. And this is why it's like, if you're not getting through all these rules, I go to the events section. Water. Here, let's look at that one. All houses have an unlimited supply of water until the water has been contaminated by the water tastes funny event card. If the water is contaminated, each player must spend a number of water stated on the card. No matter how many people you have, bottled water is the only way, the water that can be used to put out fires. Well, right here we have unlimited supply of water. We don't have to use that part of the card because we have unlimited water. We haven't drawn the contaminated water yet. Sick. The number on the event card is the number of people in each house that become sick. You must spend one first aid kit for each sick person in your house. If you cannot, the sick person is removed from the game. If you spend a first aid kit for a sick person in your house, that person may take actions normally. Alright, so we took care of the sick, we took care of the water, and I believe we took care of the fire as well by using the fire extinguisher on it. So that part is done. Our third event card has been taken care of. And now we have to, what's our next item here? So now we're going to be doing some combat if we want to. We can spend some action points to take care of that, and I'd like to take care of the ones that are actually in front of the house here. So the first one we're going to start with is our silenced rifle, and it's going to be at this one right here. This is where we're taking the shot at. It's terrible. Alright, so we got a 3 on it and nothing else, so that one stays alive, and this one person's action is taken care of. I'm flipping these just to remember who I've used. Second one we're going to use, so we've already used the rifle and silencer because that's attached to it, so we can't use that anymore. So we're going to use the crossbow with this person here, so we'll go ahead and flip that so we know we've used it. We'll use it on the same one, we'll use it on that one right there. See if we can get some better luck. We cannot. Wow. Alright, so that one stays there. And that's going to end out our combat that we can do with those two. I don't have any more ranged weapons, and in order to fight somebody out here, I would actually have to leave the house with one person, get on the same space as where they're at, and use a melee weapon to kill them. If I miss, guess what? I take a wound with that person, and I got to use a first aid to heal them immediately. I'm not really ready to take that chance just yet, so we're going to go ahead and move on. I'm going to take a... What do I want to do? I skipped the barricade part. I apologize about that. Number 3 was barricade, but I'm not going to do any barricades, so I'm just going to go ahead and have my last person here. I'm actually going to want to send him to town. Alright, so full-size SUV. This one can take 5 damage before being destroyed and can carry 7 items. However, the amount of items that we put into the car to take to town with us has absolutely no effect on this whatsoever. So we know I want to take one person to town. We also need to use a gas to take to town, and one weapon to take with us to town to fight with. So it's going to be this sword here. Alright, we're going to leave here, going through the yard. We're going to hit this zombie here. That is our first point of damage. That zombie's automatically dead, but now we have our first point of car damage. So now the car and the person and the weapon and the gas are all in town, so next turn we'll be able to use those items to fight. They can't do anything this turn. Alright, so now that's done, sending them to town, and number 6 is a skipped step since we don't have any players to send zombies to. So now we flip everybody back over here and have them ready to go for the next turn. Alright, so we'll go into, I think this is going to be round number 4. Alright, so for round number 4, we'll go ahead and get this started by rolling to see what zombies we bring on and where. Alright, space number 3. Starting to fill up a little bit on our cards. And here we go. Alright, so next one is going to be event card time. Let's see see what we got. Oh, we have another power surge, which is exactly the same as last time. So we know last time we used the fire extinguisher to put it out. So we're going to discard that. We are also going to heal one of our people because we have a sickness of 1. So we're going to go down 1 on our first aid kit, and the water has no effect just yet. Alright, so we know we finished with that. Now we can build barricades with our 2 people, which I don't really want to do just yet. So what we're going to do is with our 2 people here, we're going to move to the next one, which is starting combat. Alright, first one again, I'm going to take the rifle and I'm going to shoot at this one right here. Looking for hopefully a better result. Gotta be kidding me, man. That one's on him. This one's on him. We have a 4, but it was not enough to bring him down. So this guy is done with his combat. And there's no zombies because we're not making any noise. Next one is going to use the crossbow with 2d6, and we're going to shoot at this one right here. Hoping for a good result. Let me just make sure you guys can see that. Absolutely nothing. It is not easy to hit a zombie in this game. Alright, so those 2 actions of them are done, so now we need to take care of our people in town. Alright, so our in-town rules are, when we bring somebody in town, now we can start the round out and actually use them. So what we want to do is we decide which place they're going to. Where do we need them? Where do we need the most right now? Our lumber's doing okay. First aid might need some help. So let us go to the hospital. So for during the day rules, let me make sure I'm doing this right. Where's that at? The driveway leave takes 1. Once you have people in town, you draw 2 cards from the 1 location for each person who went to town, if it is still daylight. Okay, so we're going to draw 2 cards from the hospital. Okay, so we have a person and a first aid kit. Alright, so the person does not take up a space in the car, but the first aid kit does, because I can only bring back 1 item per person. Let me double check that. Draw cards for each individual person separately. You do not have to draw cards for everyone who goes to town, but you do have to draw 2 cards during the day if you just want the first card you draw. Even if you just want the first card you draw. If one of your people encounters a zombie card, we didn't do that. If you draw any items, you may only take 1 item per person you have in town. Each car has a maximum capacity listed on it. You may not carry more items than this capacity. Any weapons your people carry do not count against this limit. You may also discard items to pick up something different. If you find a person in town, their actions may not be used until they go back to the house. The person cards found in town do not count towards your car capacity. Alright, so this first aid kit counts towards our capacity, and we have another person. So these are going to be coming back with us once we get done in town. I don't know if that car comes back now. Let's see. The people remain in town as long as you choose, but if at any time there are no people left in the house, you gain cards. Alright, so going to town. Cards the first person, same person places. I'm trying to read this real quick. So I think that we'll return home from town. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to return home from town now that we're finished there. Bring us back to the garage, but we can't use any of that stuff this turn. Okay, so this and this are going to be in our play area here, our 1 person and our first aid. Alright, so now we finished that step, so each player starting with the first can now spend, okay, we don't do number 6, I keep forgetting that. And then we move on to the 5th round. Is that right? It was got 4, yeah, so it'll be round number 5 coming up. Alright, so for round number 5, we finally can put all of these back now that they are here. So we do have 1 car damage that's going to stay with us. The gas has been used up, and our person goes back inside of our house. And we now have another person in here that we have, so I guess I'd like to put a token in there just so I can have a visual representation of that. And then our other people get flipped back over. And this actually does not have to be added to our card until we're ready to use it. But seeing as how I still have room on my tracker card to go ahead and add it, I will do so. So one first aid kit, again, making sure to look at our cards, but I'm pretty sure it's going to say, doesn't say it on that part. First aid. Well, you know what? It doesn't say it anywhere. I don't know if it's saying there's 5 units per first aid kit. It doesn't say. It does not say. So I'm not sure if that's just a one-use item. So I will keep that out there until I actually have to use it. So now we can start the round. So round 5 starts with space number 1. Okay, so it looks like we're going to be pushing this one here to go on this space. This one gets pushed to here. This one starts here, and this one gets pushed there. Alright, now we do the event card. Alright, the water tastes funny. We are now contaminated. Players may only use bottled water for the rest of the game. Sickness 1, fatigue 1. Alright, sickness is we have to heal somebody. I'm going to go ahead and use my first aid card, and that's be discarded. And now that takes care of the sickness, and the fatigue 1 means one person is not going to be able to act this round. So I now have just the 3 that I normally had. Alright, and so for that, I'm going to go and try to do combat again. So we want to try to take this one out here with the rifle, hoping that I can get a good roll. Alright, finally got a headshot. Okay, so that one's gone. That was actually a good roll. 5, 5, 6. I couldn't have got a better roll than that. Alright, so that was the rifle. That was, let's say, this guy here. Alright, now we're going to try to take out this one here. Right down there, so we'll try to see if we can get a better roll. Alright, we got a 6 on it, so that was good. So we took out this one here. So 2 people have acted, and we still have a couple of actions, actually 1 action left. And what do I want them to do? I don't have anything left to shoot with. About the only thing I have is melee weapons. That means I would have to actually go out and fight one of these in the square, and I could end up getting hurt doing that. I don't feel like it's necessary right now to do. I don't want to waste gas just yet going to the store. So yeah, it's kind of a waste if I don't do it. Alright, I'm going to take this person as an action. I'm going to leave my house and go out here. I'm going into this square with this person, fighting with this sword here. And that's why I have to come out of the house to fight with a melee sword. Alright, so with that, that's 4 dice I roll on it. And the sword does not make a noise. Okay, so I got 4, 5. It was not enough for a kill. So I've just taken a wound on this person, and I have to heal with 1 med pack, and he comes back into the house automatically. That's finished. Well, not as good of a turn as I wanted to, but I tried. So that's going to finish out this turn for round 5, and then we'll go into round 6. Alright, so for round 6, we'll go ahead and roll and see what we're bringing on and what's going to happen in this event. Okay. 4. Oh, buddy boy. Alright, so 4 is going to push this one. It's going to push this one. This one. and this one. Alright, so now we can do the event. Major weapons malfunction. Each player must discard one weapon of their choice. Is this melee weapons or just mechanical weapons? Let me look that up real quick. Okay, I couldn't really find anything about it, so maybe I'm missing it somewhere, but I'm just gonna opt for the since it's weapon of my choice, I will just go with a melee weapon. I will take the machete out, so we're gonna discard that, and then we're gonna move on. We're gonna do the barricades. So for this one here, I'm going to barricade up 2 spots on this side of the board, both my garage and my front door. So I now have all my areas barricaded. Next, we're going to fight. So 4d6 using the rifle. We want to take care of this one here. 4d6, come on. Alright, so we got a 6 and a 3. It was enough to kill this one. So that was good. Next we have probably this one here. We'll try to take care of that. Should I do that? Yeah. Alright, so we use, that was his action for the shooting. Now he'll shoot with the crossbow 2d6 onto this one right here. Okay, we got a 5 and a 4 at the leg, so that one is enough for a kill. And that's all the shooting we can do, unless I want to go out there with another person and risk death. I need weapons. I need to go to the... Where do you get more weapons? Hardware store? Oh, I bet you don't. I bet you if you didn't bring them in with you, you're kind of screwed. Could go out again, but man, I don't have enough. If I needed to heal anybody, they'd be dead. It's a sacrifice, but man, I have to do it. I'm going to take this person out. Oh, I can't, because my action would have to be to unbarricade, so I cannot take him out there. And I don't have anything. I shot with the crossbow, the rifle. I'm done. I cannot do any more actions. Alright, so that means no sending people to town, and pretty much need to finish this one out. This is the end of turn 6 or round 6. Alright, so now we're starting round number 7, and we roll to see what we're bringing on. 5. Alright, so number 5, 5, 5, and 5. Next is we roll our event card. Gas leakage. All players must discard 1 gas token if they have one. Well, shoot, I do have one. That means we're not leaving anywhere. Sickness 1, water 2. Alright, so now, since we have a sickness, we have to heal 1 person. Got all these guys are up. Okay, and water 2, so that's going to go down 2 units. 1, 2. And I don't see myself really probably passing this one, seeing as how I cannot get any gas to go to town, which is very, very unfortunate. I think it's just going to be attrition basically now, killing the zombies or probably outlasting them coming in the house, which I don't really see happening. Alright, so we've done the event, not building any barricades. What I will do, I will opt to remove 1 barricade. I'm going to opt to take this one here. This guy is going to take out, that's risky, this barricade here, which is waste that I built 1 barricade. I shouldn't have done that. Now with that, actually, should I have been able to even do this one? This would have been 1, 2, 3, 4. So that would have brought me here to 1, so I still have 1 left on those. so now we've removed this barricade. Now we can do some range combat and hand-to-hand combat. Alright, so he removed barricade. He's going to shoot with the rifle. He's going to shoot this one right here with 4 dice. Alright, he definitely gets that. Okay, the next one is going to use the crossbow to shoot at, which one? Gotta get the ones that are getting close to the house. We're gonna get this one right here for 2. Oh, 2 headshots. Very nice. Okay. Now we are going to probably take. Is it worth taking somebody outside? No, we don't need to take anybody outside right now. So we're just going to sit tight as is and finish out round 7 and then go to round number 8. Alright, so round 8, trapped in the house. Let's see how it goes. Alright, so first 3. Let's come in on 3. So we're going to push this. Push. Uh-oh, next push here. It's going into the house. And then push there. Alright. Next is event. Cell phone. Players may conduct trades with each other for this turn. Doesn't do anything good for me. Food 1, water 1. Alright, so we do have contaminated water, but what is the food? So we got to spend food to feed everybody. These are all back up. So we could either feed them from the fridge or the canned food. I'm going to go with the fridge because that's going to feed everybody with the regular stove since I still have power. And keep my canned goods for when the power goes out much later. So that's done. And the water we have to use to... Yes, everybody needs to drink water. So we're down to 2 units of water. I believe that's what it is. Water should be the same as food. Let's make sure. It doesn't say. It says that for food, but it doesn't say that for water. Weird. I'm assuming that that's what that means. I guess so. It seems like all these other ones, it's always 5, you know. With the first aid's weird. This one used 1. So maybe I had to use only 1 since I'm not. That makes probably a little more sense, I guess. Maybe not. Alright, so we did our event card, so now we need to build barricades, which we're not going to do just yet. Okay, so now we're going to do some combat. Alright, so we know we need to take out some immediate threats. The immediate threat would be this one here, and probably one of those 2 right there. So we'll start with this person. We're going to use the rifle, and we're going to shoot. We're going to try to go for this one here. Alright, so we got 4, 5, but these did not hit, so we didn't get a kill there. So that one's action's done, and the rifle's been used. Next we move to the crossbow for 2d6. Same one, same target, and we didn't get anything. Crap. Alright, so that person is done. And again, immediate threat, we're going to move my last person out of the house to this space. And we're going to use the sword for 4, and we'll see if we can try to take care of him. Alright, looks like we did just good. So he is gone. Person's back in the house with no wound. And that finishes our combat out, and there's no people we're sending to town, and there's no zombies that we're sending to other players. So that's going to finish out round 8, and then we're going to go ahead and start round 9. Alright, so round 9, we'll see what we're bringing on. 3, I need to stop hitting the board. Okay, 3 is interesting case here, because we're pushing on here, which is going to push this one to here, which is then going to push this one either this way or this way. I'm going to opt it to go this way because it is my choice. And same over here, we have pushing, pushing, pushed. 3 is going to push this one here, and then we have pushing going on here, and they're going to move this way. Alright, so we're done pushing. No barricades are going to be built this turn, and so we are going to start shooting again. Alright, first we'll go with the rifle. That's 4 dice, and we're going to shoot at this target here that just came in on 3. Okay, we got enough to kill that one. That's our first one. The next one's going to be with the crossbow, and who's got that one's going to go to this one right here, right there on 2. Okay, we got a headshot, so that one's down. And what do? We have an option to moving out this way to take carrying one out here, but I think it's risky, so we're not going to do that. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and opt to finish out round 9 here, and then move to round 10. Alright, so round 10 we get started, and then see what we're moving on. Hopefully I don't hit too much. 1. Alright, so this one's going to move up. Here, this one moves up. Up. And, oh, we got a movement here. It's going to go this way. Alright, so now we have an interesting situation on this one. This window only has 2, okay, no, the interesting situation is we have 3 zombies that are adjacent to this right here. So this has now been removed, and I can't build a barricade on this space with there being 3 adjacent zombies. So I'm going to have to concentrate my efforts on this space right here to try to get one of those taken down. So what I need to do now is event card. Another neighbor. A survivor arrives at your house with 1 food. You may choose not to let them into your house. So I get a human? Survivor arrives at your house with 1 food. Oh, I will take that 1 survivor. And he gives me 1 food. So we're going to move up my, right there, we're going to move up my canned food to 11. I believe that's what I do. Alright, so we now have 5 people in the house for actions. So we're not building any barricades this turn, but we have a lot to fight, quite a bit to fight with. The first thing I'm going to do, and this is probably really bad of me, I'm going to take my 1 person that just came out here, my new neighbor, and say, hey, you go fight that zombie. You can fight him with the 2d. Actually, we'll give him the 4d6. We'll be nice. We'll give him the long sword here. Tell him to go fight that zombie. Pull his weight, right? All right. So we get a 3. He really can't do anything else. So he takes a damage, but I don't want to heal him. So I took his food, and I promptly sent him to his death. Alright, so he's done because I did not want to heal him. The next one that we're going to do is we're going to shoot with the rifle. So we're going to use him to do that. So shoot with the rifle. Okay, so we got 4. None of these hit, so he's not dead. So just the rifle guy's done. Next we'll use the crossbow and get a headshot. So that one's dead. I still have 2 more actions left. I can't leave out this spaces here. Oh, this one is gone too. I didn't realize that. That barricade is gone. This barricade is gone. I didn't realize how many barricades I just lost that last round. I will step out with this person to this space here, and then see if I can get him with this short sword. And I got a 6. Alright, so this person is dead. And this person comes back into the house. I have 1 left, but I've used the rifle, I've used the long sword, short sword, and crossbow. I have no other weapons left. So that pretty much is going to end my turn on round 9, and then we'll go into round 10 here in just 1 second. So, starting round number 10, we'll go with the, let's grab one of these dice here and go with, see what we're moving on the board. Alright, 2. Alright, so, let's see, clear space here. 2. At least we got a clear space and nothing's going to get pushed, so that's nice. And then final one will go here. Okay, next is event card time. Score. Each player rolls 1d6. Add that many points of refrigerated food to your food total. That's not a bad one. Okay, so hopefully we roll something nice and big. Come on. Alright, so that is refrigerated food. So this one goes to 6 to 7. Okay. All these are my guys, they need to be flipped over for their actions this turn. Okay. Alright, next is barricade. Do I want to build any barricades? That one's okay. This one is possibly needing some attention, but I can't actually because I have 3 that are adjacent to it, so I can't build anything there. I could build something here. So let's go ahead and opt to build, we'll have this person build one here. And that, even though I'm using the handsaw, I can only do 1, but that pretty much takes me down to no lumber. So that's it for that. Now we're going to do fighting. We're going to shoot this zombie right here. Alright, so we're going to start with the rifle. So we're going to be using this one to do that. Okay, 4 dice. Alright, got a 6 on that, even though I didn't get it inside the head. That is still a kill, so we'll take that one out. Next, what are we going to go for? Our most pressing target. Ooh, where are you? Maybe just the one beside it, since the next one... See, we have 2 things here. Let's go ahead and take out this one here, number 1. Alright, so we'll have this person shoot the crossbow. Okay, and we did not make it, so that zombie is safe. So we have 1 more person, but the only thing we have left is the sword, so I would have to send them out, and if I have to heal them, that's all of my first aid left. I'm not seeing a pressing need at this point, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to go ahead and leave it the way it is, and then we'll do the next step, which is can't send people to town because we don't have gas, and then the 6th step we skip because we don't have any neighbors to send zombies to. So now we move to our round 11. Okay, so 11, here we go. See how many people we're moving on. Okay, from 6. Oh, 6 is a good one. I don't think we've had that rolled yet, so there's another empty space. Alright, 6 right there. Alright, next is event card. Let's see what we get. Neighbor. A survivor arrives at your house with 1 water. You may choose not to let him in your house. Batteries equal 1. Alright, so first we decide, do we want to let the neighbor in? If we do, we get 1 water, which is needed. I think we have enough food right now, and refrigerated food, that it might not be a bad idea. That would give us some extra help if we needed to, since we actually have that short sword. So we'll add that other person in, which means he gives us 1 water, so we'll move that up on the track 1. Batteries 1. Alright, so if we get that, it says the number of event card, the number on the event card number is the number of battery operated items that die in each house. You must place another battery item in order to use it again. Well, shoot. That means that this batteries are gone, and we're not going to get to use it for our next, when it comes nighttime. Ugh, not good. Alright, so I wonder if that only applied during night though. Is that, let me double check. When night comes, you will need a generator. If you do not have a generator, you must make darkness penalty and your appliances no longer work. I guess I'll just have to take that battery penalty, which is, I guess it's okay. Alright, so now that we did the event, now we build barricades. No, I don't have any wood left to do that, so we're going to start combat again. First one here is going to shoot this one here. Okay, we got a headshot, so this one's gone. Okay, next one will be this guy is going to crossbow this one here. So only 2d6 rolled. Okay, we got another headshot, so we take that one away. Alright, what's next? I still have 3 people, but these are going to have to be melee attacks, which is okay. I could send one out and kind of sacrifice him, so let's do that. Let's have this person go out with the sword. That's 4d6 against that one. See if we can take care of it. Alright, we got another headshot. Well, head chop, I should say. So that one is gone, and he moves back into the house. He's used up. We can do that another time. Gotta take that back. Just saw my mistake. Could not have gone the outside of the house, so what I'm going to have to do is opt that kill to come from another one. It won't be able to be that one, but let's say we went out and fought this one here, because this is an open space. I could have taken somebody out over here, but let's take that one out instead of that one that I took down there. Okay, that's a little better. Alright, so we've done the rifle, we've done the crossbow, we've done the long sword, so that's 3 survivors. I still have 2 and 1 short sword left, so I could take one of them out. It would either be here or over here. And let's say this. Let's take this one out, and we'll attack him with the short sword. Now, short sword only gets 2d6. Looks good. I got a 6 on the hand, so that zombie has been taken out. And that's all the actions I can use. I don't have any more weapons to use, so we're going to go ahead and skip 5 because we can't send people to town, and we're skipping 6 because we have no neighbors. So now we're going to go into, what is this, turn 12. Okay, so for 12, we start by moving zombies in on space 3. Get pushed. This one is going to get pushed this way. Alright, for 3 over here, that one gets pushed, and 3, this zombie gets pushed here. We don't have 3 zombies on this adjacent space, so that one stays.
One over here stays, and this one stays until we have 3 over there, so we should be good. Next is event card. Hysteria. Players do not take any actions this round. Ay, chihuahua. Alright, so we skip. We've done the event phase. Can't barricade. Can't fight. Can't go to town. Can't do number 6. So basically we're done. So we're going to go to round number 13. Okay, so for 13, we're going to see where we move on. Oh, 3 again. Alright. So 3. This one, which way do we want them to go? We will go, see, this one's going to push here. We'll push this one this way. And that'll go that way. Alright, 3 over here is, we're going to push this zombie this way. Get that. And for 3 over here, this is not good. We'll move this one here, which pushes this one. We'll push him this way. Oof, 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 oof. Anything moving over here on 1, 2, or 3 is going to push one into the house next time. Uh-oh. We already have one in the house. 3 pushed this one, which pushed this one, which pushed this one. If we can't take care of this zombie on this round, then one of our guys is going to take a wound. So he is our priority. Alright, so next is event card. Ooh, we have night. We are officially in night now. Let's go read that one real quick. Night. When night comes, you will need a generator to turn your lights on and power the appliance. If you do not have a generator, you must take the darkness penalty and your appliances no longer work. Oh, buddy boy. Well, we can't even power the generator because guess what? We don't have any gas. It costs 1 gas token to run a portable generator for the entire game. It costs 1 gas token to use a portable stove, 1 gas token for each round trip. It can be used in the same way, so we have to take the night penalty in the game, which means our appliances no longer work, which is the only one that we had was the refrigerator. The other one is any shooting that we do is a -1 penalty, I believe. Let me go look up all the things that I need to make sure I hold to for the night. I'll be right back. So I'm thinking all I can really find in the rules as far as night goes is it says any roll of the dice that you're allowed to use more than 1 dice, you're going to have a -1 dice penalty. And so in the case of like if we're shooting a rifle, then we shoot 3d6 instead of 4d6. The only other one was the refrigerator. If we don't have electricity, our food is going to spoil at the end of the round, so I'm going to lose all my refrigerated food at this point. Good thing I haven't been using my canned food because that's going to be what I utilize now for the rest of the game. So we're in night. Our next one is barricades. We're not building any because I don't have any lumber. Next is combat. Alright, so our first one, I want to start with this person using the sword indoors. Because can't use the rifle indoors. So we're going to use, it's only 3d6 instead of 4 for the sword. So we're going to try to take care of this one here. Okay, we got a 5, 6, 7, 8. So that zombie's taken care of. Next, we'll use this one for the rifle. Rifle's going to shoot 3, and we are going to shoot this one here on number 1. Okay, we got a headshot. Alright, next one is going to use the, this is the crossbow. He'll use it on this one here. Ooh, nope, didn't get it. Alright, the next one, we'll use him to go outside here. So I'm going to go outside here or here, but I think this one's going to be the biggest one. And he is going to use the short sword for 2d6, so he's only going to get 1. And didn't make it. Alright, so he's got a wound. We're not going to heal it.
So he's going to be gone at the end of the round. I'm just sacrificing him anyway. This guy here has no weapons to use, so he is out. Can't really do anything. And that's going to end everything I could do because we can't go to town and I can't send zombies to the next player. So now we move to turn 13, maybe 14. Man, I'm not even keeping up. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, so now we're moving around 14. Okay, so the first thing we do for 14 is see how many, or which space we're moving in on. 1. Okay, that one's going to get pushed. This one is going to get pushed. This one's pushed. And this one's going to get moved here. Okay. That is all done. Okay, next is event. The sickness. One person in each house gets sick. You must use first aid to heal. Okay. We'll heal with 1 first aid. Now we no longer have any first aid. Our fatigue is 1 and food 2. Alright, fatigue 1. That means one of them is not going to be able to act. We'll say that one here. Food 2. That's interesting. So do I have to feed everybody twice? Because it says for each food you have to feed that many people in your house. Alright, so canned food will go down 1 unit, which feeds 4 people, and then we'll go down another unit, which feeds 4 people. Okay. Or is it only 2? Oh, that's going to be interesting now that I don't have the stove anymore. Let's see. Canned food and portable stove. I can't use my portable stove because I don't have gas, so it only feeds 2. So I'd have to go down another 2. 1, 2. So that would have been 2. Let's see. 2, 4. That was at 10. Yeah, okay, so 2, 4, then we'll go down to 6. Ouch. Okay, that's feeding a lot of mouths. Need to probably shorten some of that up. Alright, so that ends that event. So now we can go back to our regular stuff, which is fighting. Alright, first thing we want to do is probably rifle this one here. 3 dice. Okay, got on the 3 and the 3, which is a total of 6, which takes care of that one. Okay, next is dropping the dice. Alright, that was this person acting with the rifle. Next one is going to be the crossbow. We'll shoot at this one here in front of the garage. Only getting a 2. Next we'll have the short sword guy leave the house and go out here to this one. He's going to hit for 3. Okay, 4, 5, 6, 7, so that's gone. Next is this one. We have 1 short sword, but he's going to have to leave, and I don't really know if I want to sacrifice him. Having 4 an even number is, to me, is a good thing, so I'll leave him where he is and just opt not to take any more actions. So step 5 is done, step 6 is done, so we'll end this round and go into round 15. Alright, so 15, we move zombies in on 2. Alright, so that gets pushed. We have 1 getting pushed into the house here. Move here, here. 2 on this one means it's going to go this way, up. 2 here. Actually, this barricade should have been removed last turn. So, but if we're pushing on 2, then 1 is going to enter the house. It's 2 that are in the house, and 2 here. 1 is going to move here. I think I already did this one, didn't I? Yeah, that's where I started. Okay. So we've had 2 to enter the house, and now we go to event. The water tastes funny. Players may only use bottled water for the rest of the game. Since we've already got that, that didn't really affect us. Sickness 1 and fatigue 1. Sickness 1, we're going to have to use first aid to heal, but we can't, so that means we have to get rid of 1 immediately. Fatigue 1 means we cannot act with one of our people this round. So we'll go with that one there. And then we'll move on to combat. Alright. Whew, that just hurt a little bit. We're going to use the sword here on this one here. So 3 dice. Didn't make it. Okay, and then we'll use our short sword on the same one. Okay, that's more than 50% in there, so we'll take that one out. And we have a, that was 2 people that we used, so that's all of our actions that we can do. So at the end of the round, we have 1 zombie in. 1 person is going to take a wound, which means that person is out. So we lost 2 people this round. Now we go to round 16. Alright, 16, we still have 2 people. Let's see what's moving. 1. Alright, we have another one in the house, so that's 2 zombies here. So this is probably going to be our final round. Let's see. 1. Okay, yeah, this is probably it. And then 1 over here, which means, yeah, I can't stop that many for even if I tried. Alright, so 1, 2, 3, 4. I only have 2 people. Even if I was able to kill, I'd still have 2 more left in there, and this is it. We'll try anyway. I can't use the rifle because it's more than 1 space away. So I'm only use short sword for 3. No, the long sword. I didn't get it. And the short sword. Alright, so we have 4 zombies in here. Can't deal with them. So these 2 are dead. And I have lost the game. Okay, review time. I feel like there's a game here. A little bit. Some semblance of a game. I mean, it's fun a little, but the rules killed it for me. I'm sorry to say. If you can't make rules that are clear and concise and are consistent across the board, then you don't even know which ones to follow. You don't know exactly where to even look in the rule book for certain things. You know, it's either the item itself is going to have all of its special rules, or the event, let's say night for example, comes up. Night has its own paragraph in the rule book, but then you have to know individual items may be affected by night as well. So a lot of the running around into the rules and not finding what you're looking for, or maybe finding something that you thought was the rule and then it turned out the rule was misworded, or maybe it was completely different somewhere else in the rule book. It's just, like I said, this is why I didn't like the game. This is why it sat on the shelf, and apparently years ago when I played it, didn't like it. Well, I'm still holding the same feeling. So I would say at least I was able to get this out there, hopefully, and help anybody out that's actually sitting down to play the game. Maybe bring some of these rules together, maybe in a more coherent way. I think I played it okay. I'm not going to say I played it perfect, but at least maybe enough to I'd feel okay with putting this out there and helping you guys out if you're trying to sit down to play it. I know there's an expansion to this, and I don't know if it improved anything or not, because I probably will not be
purchasing that. I think this will pretty much stay the way it is, but anyway, that's what I got for you guys. So hope you enjoyed that little run through. Didn't make it, had a little bit of fun, but not too much. I probably will not sit down and play this again unless they were able to come out with a good set of rules, overhauled and done in a good way. I don't see that happening though. This game is quite old, so in board game standards anyway. But so okay guys, that's all I have for you. So like I said, I hope you enjoy. Leave any comments on the video. I would appreciate it. You just drop me any words that you like. You didn't like something, or I played something wrong, because that always helps for people coming on and reading those to kind of help them play the game a little bit better. So I'll see you guys around next time.